am the Community Relations and Business Development Department Manager for a financial institution. I share one of my employees with the marketing department, and sometimes the nature of her work requires that she leave the primary work facility to go off-site to various client and community locations. Recently, I've noticed some discrepancies in her time cards and suspect that she may be doing the same to the marketing manager in an attempt to get some free time during her day that she otherwise would not receive. And so this creates a little bit of a situation for me because on the one hand, I've become good friends with this employee as she's worked for me for several years, and also she's well liked amongst her peers, and her uncle was a former board member for the institution. On the other hand, payroll fraud is illegal and it is definitely against our company's policies. So it's hard to navigate this situation. And I think in order to come to a good resolution, it is important to look at some research and then evaluate the ethical values that are in flux with each other and then decide on a proper course of action. So in the process of researching payroll fraud, I found a report issued by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners on occupational fraud and abuse, and it found that 24.7% of companies experience payroll fraud. This is a little bit concerning because if this employee is doing it, how can I assure that this is not a more pervasive problem? I also found an article from Fortune from a few days ago about how business leaders can act in a way that would promote ethical behavior. And in this article, they suggested different strategies that managers should take in order to create an ethical culture within their department. And one of those is to simply act on the ethical values of your company. So, in evaluating both the situation and what I believe to be correct, I think it is important to consult with the marketing manager to see if she has noticed these, and then if we decide together or if we realize together that this problem does in fact indicate that there are some purposeful indiscrepancies on the time cards, then I think that the best course of action is to proceed with consulting the legal department and the HR department and going ahead and moving forward with the penalization process, which would most likely end in her termination. It is tough you make this decision because you certainly don't want to lose a friend in the process, but as Spider-Man's wise Uncle Ben once said, with great power comes great responsibility, and as the department manager, I have a responsibility to do the right thing, even though it may be the difficult thing.
She spoke for 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and we will now begin the 2-minute question and answer period.
How will you deal with the other employee that you're sharing this employee with?
The marketing manager, I would probably decide to schedule a meeting with that individual sometime and discuss this privately without trying to ring any alarms prematurely, because that would also be detrimental to my credibility and to the general flow of the workday. And just point out what I've noticed and see if she maybe has noticed some of those things, or allow her to go and see if she would notice those upon having that brought to her attention, his or her attention. And then if we decide, or if we together realize that there are indications of fraud or just, kind of fudging a few times, then I think that the best route would be to consult a legal or HR department, as they are the experts on how to fire people without getting in trouble.
In this era of millennials wanting work-life balance and flexibility, how do you see this play into your company's policy and this specific dilemma with this employee?
Well, I think that there is certainly work-life balance is very important, and I think that to achieve that, part of that is honesty and transparency with your employer, and not saying that you've been at work or that you've been at a client location if you haven't been, because you can't bill off hours that weren't worked. And I think that if she had come and said, hey, I have to go to a doctor's appointment, or I really want to attend my child's kindergarten play, I will make these hours up, later in the week, or I will, work longer this evening, then that's appropriate, and that is not a gray area. But if you are lying and saying you did work and when you in fact did not, then it would be hard to justify that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's thank Lindsay.